Hi, this video is in response to a video I just watched. Leon Hendrix says, millionaire goes homeless to prove anyone can make $1,000,000, and his challenge to himself, and I don't know, he put it on whatever, on the net. Probably YouTube as a matter of fact, but he then goes on to make this video showing how he goes from sleeping on a bench to working in a shared workspace within like a month, where I'm not sure exactly what his gig turned out to be, where he ends up making that $1,000,000 in a year. It's bunk. It is total and complete bunk. And I know I've lived on the streets. And yeah, you can have a hustle, you can make some money and do better than the guys who just lay around and wait for the monthly check, if they're lucky enough to get that, or just wait for the church groups to come by and give them food. And that's here in Miami. I've been homeless in a number of different places, and most other places you can't just lay around and wait for people to bring you food. You actually have to go to the feeds, which, isn't a big deal. I mean, free food is free food. If you got working legs, no matter how fatigued you are, no matter how drunk you are, if you're hungry enough, you can get there. But that's just to give you an idea of what my experience has been like on the streets. I want to address specifically the Leon Hendrix video because it's pure garbage. He's sleeping on a bench. After a few days, he meets some guy the guy graciously takes him to his place, which is a trailer. So now he's got a place to sleep at least. I think he just gets on his phone, get some free stuff on Craigslist, furniture, I believe, and it turns it over for like $200. So now he's got money to at least buy some clothes and some food. And then it just keeps going up from there. Funny thing is, I've had that exact experience, those couple of beginnings anyways, sleeping on a bench. No one ever came by to offer me anything except possibly occasionally a couple of bucks, a couple of smokes, a beer. Nobody was giving me a ride to their house to sleep. Nobody, ever, anywhere. Being homeless in Cleveland, Colorado, Boulder, Cheyenne, Wyoming, a few different cities in California, Florida, Clearwater, Tampa, Key West, Miami. So I've got some experience. I speak from experience, and this just isn't me. This isn't like some skanky antisocial dude that nobody would touch. This is nobody on the streets that I know of have ever just been picked up and graciously taken to somebody's place to sleep. So either this guy is fantastically lucky or it's just complete BS. But then he gets free stuff on Craigslist and turns it over for $200 magically, because how do you do that? I have tried that exact gig and I've made some money, but it's hard. It's incredibly hard. I had to go pick the stuff up. I had to take it somewhere. I had to list it on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, whatever. And then I had to wait for the responses to roll in. And many are the times when I've had something, I've had a number of people respond to that thing. I would just give them my phone number, please call, my name, Never hear from them again. As a matter of fact, I had this empty lot down the street I was renting out. I was hoping to make money doing just like flea market type things, and letting people park there for rent, storage, whatever. But as I was fortunate, it was a nice span of weather I was dealing with. I was getting free stuff on Craigslist, couches and stuff like that. I have a van. This is important. You can't just be walking around doing this. You got to actually go pick the stuff up, bring it somewhere, and then wait. You don't just turn it over like that. That happened. That happened recently once with a IKEA bed that I picked up here in Miami. Took it to a guy's place that we were partnered for a moment. Anyways, I put it on. I don't even know what it was. Probably Craigslist, but whatever it was, I got a few responses, and the next day it was sold for, I can't remember. It was somewhere between like 60 or 120. The amount is not important. The important thing is I did manage to turn it over in a day, but not for a hell of a lot of money, and that is the outlier. That's the exception, not the rule. And I'll give you another example that I had just started with. That empty lot I had, I just had some pallets on the ground so the stuff was not sitting right there in the dirt, and I would grab couches and bring them back and put them there, photograph them, list them on the net, and wait for the responses to roll in. Well, the thing about the internet, especially like Facebook Marketplace, is they've got that one click quick reply. So somebody sees something and they just click on, is this available? So you just get all of these responses. Is this available? Is this available? Is this available? You message them back. Yes, it is. Here's my number. Call me. Never hear from them again. That's just, and believe me, I have done a lot of eBay sales. I have done thrift store sales. When I was in Clearwater, I was homeless and I had not much money. I saw this espresso machine at a thrift store. I actually knew the guy because he was the husband of the woman who ran auctions there in Clearwater, and I would go to those just to see if there was anything I could get for cheap, like a bicycle, whatever. But he had a solid brass espresso machine from Italy. And I went there 3 times before I finally decided to buy it, thinking if I can't sell it, I'll at least get that $15 back in scrap. I mean, the thing's solid brass. But to make a long story short, I put that on eBay and it ended up selling for like 300 and something. So, and I was doing that at a club because they had the computer and I was a member of the club. So I would go there every day and look, and everybody was all excited for me because the price just kept going up from the moment I put it on. So that's just to give you an idea. I can hustle. I can do that also. But you can't hustle upstream. If everything's going against you, it doesn't matter what your hustle is. If you put something on the internet and you get 1,000 replies and you give every single one of those your phone number and you never hear from them again, there's nothing you can do about that. That is just the way it is. You can't go over to those people's homes and force them to give you money and tell them where the couch is or whatever. I'm just making a point here. You have to work with what you've got. And I had a couch in that empty lot, and I put it on for $40. It was a beautiful white couch. I'd gotten it free on Craigslist. Went out, picked it up, brought it back, Put it out there, photographed it, put it on Craigslist, and got a whole bunch of responses. Gave every single one of them my phone number. Never heard back from a single one. $40. $40 for a beautiful couch. And it was beautiful enough that I got a whole bunch of responses. But this is just people clicking on, is this available? Is this available? Is this available? There's nothing you can do about that. You know, they make it so easy for people to respond to anything that unlike, for example, eBay, where if you put something on eBay and they bid, they're locked in. It doesn't matter if that bid is not as much as you wanted or whatever. If the auction ends with that bid, they're locked in. They're required to pay. There is no just clicking, is this available? Is this available? But the thing about eBay is, you got to have an account. You got to have something of a reputation generally for people to bid on your stuff. It's a whole process. You know, Craigslist, Facebook, Marketplace, things like that. Those are easy. Those are free. You're not paying any fees. My whole point concerning that is there's a certain level of knowledge involved. There are processes involved in any of these things. I mean, just to put something on Craigslist, you're pretty much required to have it in your possession, take a photo of it, make the ad, you know, make the post. This is not rocket surgery, but this is not the kind of thing that the average person who's found themselves on the street can do. I know, I've been there. I've seen the range of problems that these people tend to have. They're on the streets because generally they can't function at a level which allows them to be in society and live that kind of life. Some of them are perfectly happy with that. They don't want to be in society, and I can appreciate that. I mean, I've known quite a few people that would rather live on the streets. There's just a hell of a lot less paperwork. If you're living on the streets and you're not getting anything from the government, you're home free. You could do what you want. Any money that you get, that's all yours. You don't have to deal with anybody except maybe the occasional run-in with a cop. And if you're not a cop magnet, generally, well, it depends on the place and the circumstances, but that's a whole nother video in and of itself. But getting back to Leon Hendrix's video, I have done those exact things that he started the video with, sleeping on the bench and selling stuff on Craigslist, and it did not go anything like his. His video is BS. Not anyone can make $1 million starting on the streets. As a matter of fact, almost no one realistically and practically can even make what would be considered a subsistence living, work-wise, living on the streets. Not to start. And I'll give you a couple more examples. This go-round, in Miami anyways, the reason that I was on the streets was I got hit by a car in Key West. I got life flighted to Jackson Memorial. Spent some time there. They kicked me down to a nursing home / rehab center where I finally was able to get into a wheelchair. From there, they kicked me down to a Salvation Army where they treated me, and not just me, everybody, like a criminal. It was in the hood. You had to go through a locked gate, then you had to go through a metal detector, and after a couple of weeks, I said, enough's enough. I'm the victim of a car accident. I am not a criminal. I'm not living in these conditions. I'd rather be out on the streets. I've been there before. There's more freedom. Fuck you people. Pardon my language, but that's the way I felt. But anyways, I ended up on the streets. I was on there for about a year. Well, actually longer, but I was on there for about a year, and I found out I was getting a settlement. Great. First thing I decided was, okay, I'm getting some money. Sober up. it's one thing to be blowing your money every day on booze, which I was basically using as a painkiller because I had 8 fractures that were knitting, and it was painful. I couldn't sleep at night. I could I could go all day without drinking, but at night I couldn't sleep. I had to drink. So that's where I was. But anyways, I found out I was getting the settlement. First things first, quit drinking. Second thing, I told them, you need to cut that check into 2 parts. Give me 2,000 so I can actually cash it and have some money, and the other one, just give me the rest of it in the other check, and I'll see what I can do with that eventually. And by that I mean I didn't even have identification, so I couldn't even open a bank account. There is no way I could do anything with that money except wait until I got the ID, get a bank account, and then, okay, now I can start a new life. That's what I did. I got the $2,000. I went to a bank. I'm not even going to tell you which one, but I went to a bank. They using my Camilla's House identification, which Camilla's House is a homeless shelter slash resource place. It's like half a block big. It's huge, and they do a lot of stuff. They have showers, and they have a dining hall, and they have an office where you can actually go in and get on computers, and they have a little library. They have a place where you can go in and watch TV. They actually have a little like art studio you can go in and paint, which I did quite often. It was great therapy. As you can see, I am an artist. This is my latest piece, and just to let you know, even after the settlement that I got, and everything that I've learned about money and how to live not on the streets and yet without work, which I've been avoiding because I've been trying to dedicate myself to projects. We'll see how that goes. But I'm here in a storage unit working on stuff. So even with money, this is where I'm at. So this Leon Hendrix thing, oh yeah, you could start on a bench and a year later be a millionaire. No, that's not the way it works. So to get back to, I got the settlement. They were willing to cash the $2,000 check with the Camilla's House ID that I had. They were willing to accept that. So now I'm on the streets with $2,000 in my wallet and a check that was considerably larger, but I couldn't do anything with because I couldn't open a bank account because I didn't have ID. I had the Camilla's House ID, but that's not official. So they wouldn't accept that. I had to get ID. I'm here in Florida. I'm originally from the Cleveland area, Cleveland, Ohio. So that's where my birth certificate is. I had to contact a friend up there, get them to help me get my birth certificate. Had to get a social security card. I think that was a requirement. In any event, let me put it this way, I don't remember all the hoops I had to jump through in order to get a driver's license, which, you can get a state ID or a driver's license. I can drive, so I just got a driver's license. But it was better than 2 weeks, and I'm thinking closer to a month before I could get that ID and get a bank account, meaning for all that time, I'm living on the streets with $2,000 in my pocket and a check that was, again, considerably larger. So this is the reality. There is no one day you're sleeping on a bench, the next day you're sleeping in somebody's trailer, the next day you're selling stuff on Craigslist, the next day you're in some shared office space where you can use their computers and you're doing God knows what. Lectures, life coaching. I have no idea what his gig was, but it's bullshit. It's just all complete bullshit. I know. I've been there. I started out with a big chunk of cash in my wallet, and I was still sleeping on the streets. And you may ask yourself, well, you had $2,000. Why don't you just go to a cheap motel? I didn't want to fritter that money away on what I considered at the time luxuries. I wanted to get that lump sum in the bank and figure out my next move without starting right off by just spending money. I could live without a roof over my head. It's nothing that I would wish on anybody, even myself, anymore. On the streets, out in nature, that's another thing. But out here in the streets, no, it's not a fun existence. But it's just part of my whole point, commenting on, and this right here that you see that's in my way, this is going to a little power supply here. It's called, what is it called? Lion Power? Lion Energy. I got that from Walmart for, I think about $100. But that's what I'm using to power this. It's just a utility light. You know, it's like the kind of light that a guy working on your car would carry with him to look inside the engine compartment. But that's what I'm using to light up my work. So there's no light here in this storage unit. There's a little bit of light out there in the hall, but there's no light in here. So I have to provide my own light just to work on my projects, because that's just where I am. This is where I start. I'm not taking that money and buying a house and then all of a sudden, oh my God, I gotta pay taxes. Now I gotta go back to work. Or I'm figuring it out. And granted, I've probably been a little slow on the uptake, and I definitely know I could have done a lot better if I could take what I know now and go back to when I first got that money. The thing is, and this is a good point also, if you take people who don't know anything about money and tell them, okay, you need to start making money, you can become a millionaire in 12 months. Even if they could in the first week or month or whatever, find something on Craigslist and turn it over. And how do you do that without even being able to go pick it up, put it somewhere, and tell the people who respond to the post, this is where it is, come get it, give me the money? I mean, how did he even do that? He's living in this guy's trailer without a vehicle. How do you just get something free on Craigslist and turn it over? So this was not necessarily a very well-structured and coherent video, but I just saw that and I had to respond. So, you know, I didn't write out a script or anything. I just, you know, I'm going to wing it. This is this. I've got enough experience. I've got enough knowledge. I can respond to this in a meaningful way. He's lying. He's lying to you, and that's part of the culture that we live in. It's, first of all, materialistic as opposed to being social. You know, instead of telling people that are living on the streets, well, look what I did. You can do that too. Why not just go help the people on the streets? Don't lie to them and tell them that they can all be millionaires in a year. And the second thing is just this whole toxic hustle culture that instead of finding some kind of spiritual path or seeking mental fortitude or just becoming healthier, you know, quit doing whatever you're doing that's harming you, start eating better, exercising. No, it's all about filthy lucre. It's all about, you could do this, you could do that. I can help you make this much. No, man, no. I was on the streets. Now I'm here, which is considerably better. And my life will continue to improve. But the important thing is, up here is so much better off than it used to be. I've got a gym membership. I'm working out, and part of that was I need a place to shower. Well, gym membership. There you go. I could get a place. I could be living in a really cheap apartment or a trailer or something like that. I don't want to spend that money. I got a van. I can sleep inside that. That's good enough for now. When I'm actually making money, like making art and selling it, which as soon as I put a coat on this is up for sale. But I got some chops, I got some skills. And well, you see the guitar in the background. I can play too. I'm going to start doing an open mic thing. I was doing that for a while, but I just fell out of it. I'm going to get back into it, and I'm going to do that. My point is, even with a guy like me who's better than average intelligence, has got some real skills, had gotten a settlement, you don't just magically start making shitloads of money, regardless of what anybody on the internet says. It's all bunk. And beyond that, you should be working on yourself first. And by first, I mean always. No matter what your other aims and goals are, world peace, curing cancer, making $1 million, whatever it happens to be, you should always be working on yourself. I mean, when you look at, let's use the Buddha for an example. Even after he was enlightened, even after he was awake, he meditated every day. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm better now. I can do whatever I want and forget what I did that got me here. No, what you did that got you here, whether it's the better diet or the meditation or yoga or journaling, whatever, you need to keep that up even while you're creating world peace or curing cancer or painting or playing guitar, whatever. So the whole hustle culture, oh, you can get by on 5 hours of sleep a night, and if you do this morning routine, and if you call these people or make this website, or on and on and on. Hustle, hustle, hustle. Take a step back. Take a breath. Where are you in life? That is where you start. Work on yourself, and then continue with all the other stuff. But work on yourself. The Leon Hendrix videos and all the billions of others that are out there that are similar, pay those no heed. Those are not going to advance you. Those are only going to slow you down at best, or take you backwards at worst. His video is just a load of bullshit. Thanks for watching.